what is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, puppies, tortoises, cows, cats, whoever you are? Thanks for watching, and you'll be glad you did on this latest edition of Tournament Talk. My name is Brian Skowronski, just like the graphic says. I will be your host for tonight, but I also have three other OH reporters with me here in virtual land, and we are going to break down all the games that we got coming up live and free on the OH Report this week. That's right. These people really need no introduction if you're a fan of high school hoops in the area, but we got Travis Berardi, Garret Parlett, and Storm Bluntschly all here to break it down. And since we're all gentlemen here, let's start with the ladies and give them their proper due because they are at the regional round. Travis, me and you are going to be over at Mansfield Senior tomorrow night. We get to see Napoleon go toe-to-toe with Bellevue. Is this a Wildcat team of destiny, or can the Lady Red get it done?
Well, you know, the Lady Red, 6 of the last 8 years have won a district championship in D2. You have Napoleon, on the other hand, that were at the shot, were ready to walk on the court, and got it pretty much ripped out of their hands. So, you know, they won it. They probably won it really bad. But then you have that Bellevue team that they just haven't been able to get over the hump 6 of the last 8 years. And, you know, with Santoro, we saw her blow up in the first half. Bollinger, also our co-players of the game. Bollinger really took over in that second half when Santoro really couldn't get anything going. But then Santoro at the end, she's that playmaker, that person that when you need a bucket the most, she can make it. You and I, like you said, we're at this game, the Shelby game. If Bellevue can play like they did in that first half, they're going to have a real good chance. But if they play like they did when Shelby made that comeback to actually take the lead in the fourth quarter, then there might be some problems for them because, like I said, that Napoleon team, they have most of those pieces back from that squad that went to the state Final Four and didn't get to play.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you look at the bracket there and what Bellevue had to do to get to this point, knocked off some pretty good teams. Shelby really tested them at the end of that one. But Santoro getting over 2,000 career points, I might add, just like her older sister did as well, able to get by the Whippets into the round of regionals. And now down at the bottom half, Granville taking on Norton in the second part of that one. We see the Granville's just been tearing people up, so that should be a fun regional to have for you guys. We will have all the action live and free tomorrow night. Me and Travis will be on the call. Switch over to Division 3 Lexington Regional now, where G-Man and Storm, they're going to be over there taking in the action. Do you feel like the Willard Crimson Flashes have what it takes to get it done? Storm, break it down for me.
I mean, I definitely do. The Willard Crimson Flashes, we saw them in action the other night. I mean, and they took care of business versus Margaretta. Layla Dials is going to be a key factor. Their point guard, I mean, with 5.4 assists per game, that's like a true point guard. That is some incredible numbers from a high school point guard. And Willard, like I said before, has been a historically good girls basketball program. So I think they're going to have what it takes to get it done.
You agree, G?
Definitely agree, Brian. Willard girls, they had the back and forth affair against Margaretta and their conference rival, but they really prevailed 64-56. But they had 4 scores in double digits. Tristan Burma had 16, Layla Dialis had 16, and then McKenna Stevens and Grace Hall, they shot the lights out. So it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Willard when they're shooting that well.
And another great thing about
Afro-centric, though, I mean, man, what a tough battle, Travis, to have to take on a team like that out of Columbus. That I know that they're a newer school, but it seems like every single year they always have some crazy athletes.
Yeah, Afro-centric, I believe last year graduated an All-American, McDonald's All-American, but they always have, you know, the pieces to go. That Columbus City League, they started later, so I believe they were a lower seed in their district, I think a 5 or a 6, but that didn't matter. They still were able to get past Cardington Lincoln, the number 1 seed, who we've seen Cardington Lincoln before, and they're the real deal, a top 3 team in the state rankings. But you know, that Afro-centric squad, they are pretty much year in and year out a team that could compete for a state championship, and it's going to be another tough test, just like that Napoleon test for Bellevue. Afro-centric playing at Lexington against Willard. Willard's going to have their best game shoes on. They're going to have to play their best game if they want to have a chance of going to a regional championship in an Elite Eight.
All right, so we're going to have that game for you on Wednesday night. And then on Thursday night, we've got Travis going to be traveling out to Elida to see Buckeye Central, those state-ranked Buckettes, take on Columbus Grove in the D4 regional. Do you believe this is the year that they get on to state? We're going to let you go first, G-Man. But what do you think? You've seen these Lady Bucks in person. Do they got the complement of players that can get to Dayton?
They're one of the better teams, Brian, that I've really seen over with my own two eyes here as of late. They've really been striding too. Like even when one of their players has an off night, Claudia Pfeiffer only had 7 points in the win over Seneca East, but it really didn't matter. Their defense stepped up and forced a lot of Seneca East turnovers. And Emily Cecil had 18 points to lead the Buckeyes in the rout of the Tigers. It really wasn't close from the get-go.
Storm, this team got what it takes to get out this region?
And once again, I'm in agreement with G-Man as well. I mean, he talked a little bit about their defense, but going hand in hand with that, the transition offense, them on the fast break, they are just so good at getting those fast break buckets. I know you said that Claudia Pfeiffer had a rough night, but her getting out on the break, using her speed, agility, and quickness to get past the first and second level of defense, I really just don't see anyone who could stop that offense.
So, Travis, do you fully expect the Lady Buckeyes to take care of Columbus Grove and move on to the regional championship at the Elida on Saturday?
I do. In talking with Zachary Holden of the Bucyrus paper, he covers them. He says this is one of the better brackets for Buckeye Central to make the state Final Four for the first time since 2017. And they got pretty much rolled in that state semifinal. But I think this team is a lot better. Their ball movement is just so crisp. It's so fast and allows them to get so many open shots, especially beyond the arc, that, if they're rolling, there were points against South Central to where the Trojans, it looked like they were starting to get something going, but then you just get it back into the hands of Buckeye Central, and they pretty much did what they could do. They had no problems running their offense, and they've done that against some of the best teams. They lost an overtime game to Willard. Both of those teams were highly ranked at the time. It was an instant classic, and you see why both those teams are so good. They're both in the regional level now, but this is the year that I think Buckeye Central can make at least a run to the state Final Four, but you never know. They may be playing for a state championship come next weekend. And one side note, can we appreciate the jacket that Storm is wearing? This is no diss to him. I love that thing, and he should wear it on the next broadcast that he does. I swear, it is a thing of beauty, and we appreciate you for allowing us to at least see you wearing it tonight.
Oh, hey, no problem. I believe my grandmother, Linda Mendoza, actually gave this one to me. I've had it for a while. I'm surprised it still fits because, I put on that quarantine weight. So, but thanks, Travis. I'll definitely make it a point to wear this to the next game. But I did have one more quick thing I wanted to say again for Buckeye Central. Any team who plays them is going to need one of these. It's a get-out-of-jail-free card. They're going to need it if any opponent's going to need it if they want to beat this Buckeye Central team.
Star approved,
so the Bucks putting their opponents in jail. I like it. They're patrolling, man, doing their thing. And so, G-Man, I saw today too, was wearing like some nice slack pants instead of sweatsuits. Like, what's going on with our boys stepping up the attire?
And we're getting losing a little bit of weight. Brian, quit drinking the pop that has been set in for about a week and a half now. So I'm starting to fit into some of my summer clothes. So it's kind of exciting.
It is exciting, and you should be excited out there that we're going to have 4 regional girls basketball games live and free on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then, of course, we'll have the championship games coming up on Friday and Saturday as well. But that's it for the ladies, at least for now. Let's flip it over and talk to the fellas and begin in Division 4 Willard District, where G-Man Storm, you guys are going to be on the call tomorrow. South Central versus Lucas. Margaretta versus St. Paul. What say you about the 4 teams that are in there, G-Man? We'll start with you about who you think is kind of the favorite to emerge.
I just want to talk a little bit about Lucas versus South Central. They're really familiar foes. They played last year in the district final, and the Lucas would eventually win that game only by 4. Or they played early in the season too this year and only won by 4 points. But Lucas did win that game last year in overtime, but both teams playing without stud seniors from last year. For Lucas, Logan Nicewander will not be on the club, as well as Simon Blair. So both squads going to need to pick it up. But earlier in this season, Lucas did fall in a defensive affair, and I know that's where they want to be on the defensive end. Is keeping it low scoring and getting Ethan Sauter out in the fast break and being patient on offense.
Yeah, I mean, for Lucas, I did have a chance to go and see them a couple of times this season, and their defense, I mean, they are just an incredibly, like, they have so much hustle on that squad on both ends. I mean, if there's an extra possession up for grabs, Lucas is going to get it. I mean, their starting five basically never comes out of the game. They just, I mean, we should make sure they're not like robots or something, because they just are go, go, go all the time like the Energizer Buddy. It's our Energizer Bunny. It's insane to watch them play.
Yeah, I mean, they tighten up on you like G-Man trying to fit into a size large shirt or something. You know, it just doesn't go on there. It doesn't fit properly. And Travis, we know that the key to success for these Cubbies, man, they got to play that defense. They did it on the road against St. Mary. Can they do it on a neutral site against South Central?
I think they can, and just because, you know, they played South Central tough earlier this year when they were just starting to get going, too. It was early in the season. You know, you get 15, 20 more games under your belt, you finally know what you have to do on a defensive end. And like, you know, every Cubs team we've seen the last couple of years, their defense just keeps getting better as the year goes on. And they held St. Mary Central Catholic, who was a 4 seed, to 38 points on their home court. It wasn't even a neutral site court. It was their home court, and they held them to 38 points. And they're going to have to hold South Central under 50, and that's the number I've been bringing up pretty much all year with the Cubs. They hold them under 50. They have the offense that can score. And remember, one Riley Gossam expected to play at least some of this district round. We talked to him before the Danbury sectional game, and he said, not this week, but I'm looking to get back out there next week. He's not going to be 100%. Let's just get that out there now. He's not going to be probably 80%, but he still has the ability to be one of those spot shooters. We saw him in that Danbury game. He was a spot shooter on either side of the court for three, and he drained it like he's been playing all year. So you can still get the opportunity to set a play up out of a timeout maybe or something like that, to where if you can get him open, he's probably going to have a good shot at hitting.
Make no mistake about it. Riley Gossam, while he not be probably even 50% of his normal self, will still get into that game and still deliver something for the Cubs, whether it be on the scoreboard or just an emotional lift. I got a feeling that Cubs Nation going to be real happy when he gets out there. Real quickly, your thoughts on the other half of the bracket there. St. Paul versus Margaretta. I've been on record. I think these Winslow twins are going to get it done. I just love what they bring to the table, the full complement of guys out there for the Flyers. Do you believe that that is going to be a team that's going to be playing for the district championship on Friday night?
Well, you know what? They had a really tough test with those Crestline Bulldogs. I got handed off to Coach Tyler Sanders and his squad. They balled out against St. Paul, and they took them to the wire. It went into overtime. A couple calls, you know, could have gone either way, went St. Paul's way. But they had to squeak it out. If they play like they did last week on Friday, actually, if they play like they did on Friday, I think Margaretta is going to pull away with the victory. But if they can, you know, play like that St. Paul Flyer team that we've seen during the season, they're going to be able to put up a tough fight. But, you know, St. Paul still in that game against Crestline was able to hit the big shot when it was needed. They got a big steal with under a minute left, dished it out to a wide open three that was drained. So, you know, this team, when they need to pick it up, they can still pick it up. And they're going to have to do that for a full 4 quarters against a very good Margaretta squad that, you know, most thought were going to win this district before their best player got hurt early on.
All right, so you can check out both of those semifinal games live and free Tuesday night with our guys G-Man and Storm on the call. Just a day later, over at Ashland in Division 2, I'm going to be on the call. No, I'm not. My guy Brian Harder is going to be on the call, my same-name twin out there along with Greg Collins. And the top 2 seeds out there, everybody's talking about Shelby and Ontario being on a collision course. These are the 2 teams that's going to play for the championship. What say you, Storm, about that prediction?
That one's a tricky one, probably the trickiest one we've had so far on the OH Report, and I think that is going to be one of the best games we've ever had on the OH Report. But that man, TJ Pugh, he's a bad man, and I don't think that anyone can stop him. I mean, there's a reason there's so much buzz around this kid. He can do it all. The only thing that really lacks for him is a little bit of an outside shot, but I mean, this dude is like a huge point guard. I mean, he can do it all. He can pass. He can drive. Like I said, his shooting is a little suspect, but he can knock it down when he's open. I really don't see anyone getting past Shelby, but anything can happen. It is tournament time.
Okay, so it at least sounds like you think that Ontario and Shelby are going to make it to the championship game. Do you agree, G-Man? You think Whippets get by Huron and then we see Shelby take care of business against Norwalk?
I definitely think that Shelby's going to move on past Huron. I really don't think Shelby is going to have a lot of competition until they get to that district final. I think they're going to blow by Huron because I just think they got too much offense, and when they come out explosive, they can't be stopped offensively. TJ Pugh and Cody Lance are usually combined for at least 40 points, and that's most of the team's points in high school. But that Ontario-Norwalk game, I think, is really going to be where the meat and potatoes are in this section right here, because Norwalk, I've seen them beat Upper Sandusky, and they've really handled them. Upper Sandusky could not get anything to go offensively. Norwalk started on a 9-0 run in the first quarter and really never looked back. They held Cade Adams, one of the better shooters I've seen in this area, to I believe 0 points, and it had held Gavin Carey to 14. So Norwalk, they're not very good offensively, but defensively, man, they get it done. And Garrett Chapin, one of their better scorers, had 18 against Upper Sandusky. So I got Shelby versus Norwalk in the district final.
Ooh, okay. Well, ever since you said meat and potatoes, I saw Travis's eyes get a little bit wider thinking about dinner time. So we'll let you weigh in on this, Travis. Who do you think is going to be at the final supper there in this district?
It's going to be Shelby, definitely. I don't think Huron has what it takes to, knock off this Whippets team unless the Whippets have the worst game that they've played all year. And I believe that already happened when they played River Valley, and that was a learning experience for them right before the tournament. And that's not going to happen again. As for the other, it's a game between two Hall of Fame coaches. On one side, you have Steve Gray. On the other side, you have Joe Baylog with win 598, going for 599 that night. And Ontario is going to want him to get 600 this season, and it would have to come against the Shelby squad in the district final. And I'm going to say they're going to have that chance. It's going to be Ontario Shelby, but that Ontario Norwalk game, like 2 years ago, may go into overtime, may go into double overtime again. But that's going to be one of the best games, not only in the district, not only in this area, but I think that's going to be one of the best games in the state on Wednesday night.
Definitely looking forward to both of those. And again, you can catch Brian Harder on the call with Greg Collins. Ontario and the Truckers are the second game of the night. Shelby kicks things off against Huron. And then on Thursday in the Division III Shelby District, any chance, Travis, after we bring up this bracket and break it down, that we don't get Sheldon Bowl Part 2? Is there any way that you can foresee that the top two seeds do not make it to play for the title?
Well, they always say that the third time, being a team 3 times in one season is the hardest thing to go. And we're going to have Western Reserve Crestview Part 3. And, our two boys to the right of me right now are hoping the Crestview Cougars and Evan Hamilton can pull off the victory. And you're looking the wrong way, Ski, but it doesn't matter. But I mean, everybody wants Crawford Western for that championship. But, there's 2 other teams that have a say in it. And, you never know. I don't know. I think Crestview has the pieces to do it, but Western Reserve is just so good. However, we thought that last year, and Western Reserve got upset in the district semifinal, and we didn't get Sheldon versus Sheldon. So you can book Crawford being in this final, but I don't know. There might be an upset. I'm still going to go Western Reserve just because they're that good. But hey, you can't sleep on our Cougars.
All right, well then convince me, G-Man and Storm. Tell me, for real. Tell me that Evan Hamilton, Cash, and the boys are going to get it done.
I got a little something here just for my Western Reserve fans. Give me 1 second. Got to put something on for you guys. I'm bringing out the L cap because that's what Western Reserve is going to be holding versus Crestview. Crestview is on an unbelievable tear. There's no way they lose this one. Evan Hamilton is going to have the game of his life. There is nobody on earth right now, mark my words, on earth that can beat this Crestview squad. They are red hot, but a couple of keys they're going to need is great shooting from Heath Cash and Evan Gibbs. I've seen most of the time when they lose, they do struggle shooting, and teams can collapse on Evan Hamilton. And he is not unable to trust his guys on the 3-point line. And we saw Heath Cash take over this postseason. has been shooting the lights out here recently, and I think that's what they're going to need. And another big thing is the big play inside. Rebounding is going to be key for them. They need to use their size advantage to their advantage and secure some rebounds to really run Western Reserve home. But like I said, I put on the L cap. I really think Western Reserve is going to be holding that L, and Crestview is going to be moving on.
Do you need to put any icing on that cake, G, or did that bake the whole brownie for you?
Well, Storm, I'm sorry to do it, bud, but we're going to have to put on the cap hat. There is no way Crestview is beating Western Reserve. It's not possible. I'm sorry to go against the Cougars here, but it is almost undeniably how good Luke Rollinson is for Western Reserve. The last two matchups in the conference, Crestview lost by a combined 64 points. I really want to pick the Cougars here, and that may be because I went there. But it just for my legacy and my resume, I cannot pick that game and let that live on my heart. I'm sorry to Evan. I'm sorry to Evan Gibbs. I'm sorry to all my boys back home, but I had to do it to you. Go prove me wrong.
All right. Well, unfortunately, the graphic says you're not allowed at alumni parties for a little while, but I think you're going to be on the right side of history with your prediction. When you talk about Rollinson and Scrata, just those two up top, that's tough to defend. And they got about three other guys on the perimeter that are average double figures. They have a bunch of guys they bring in off the bench. They run and get you up and down the floor. There's no way we don't see Sheldon versus Sheldon part 2. You can go ahead and book it with the Sharpie, but we still love you, Cougar Nation.
Brian,
all right, last but not least, speaking of love, what you got something, Trev?
No, I just the job that Coach John Kurtz has done with this Crestview squad after the last 2 years this basketball team has had. We just have to take a minute and just appreciate the job that he has done in his first year back at Crestview, getting his team to a sectional championship and into a district semifinal. It's a great accomplishment for this team this year after the last 2 years that they've had.
Okay. Alexa, set timer for 1 minute. We're going to go ahead and take that in for Coach Kurtz for a whole minute. Just playing. Let's move on with the show. And how about the East Knox Bulldogs? They're still moving on with their show. They're at the round of districts, but can they get into the championship game and play another potential K-MAC team? Travis, what are your thoughts on seeing Cardington Lincoln versus the Bulldogs for a district title?
I mean, there's a solid chance. East Knox has to go to number 3 Newark Catholic. Newark Catholic played Byrne Union tough. They were an 8 seed. It was close early, but then Newark Catholic pulled away. But that almost gave East Knox a home district semifinal. This team is a scrappy team. We've said it all year long. They came out of quarantine 2 days before this sectional final that you're seeing the highlights of right now. They came out of it 2 days before. Danville gave them a tough test. It's the third game of the year between these two, Devil Dog Part 3. But in the end, Weston Mielek and company did what they needed to do, survive and advance. Now they have a full week.
Thanks, John Kurtz, for what you did this season. Continue.
But Weston Mielek and company, they did what they needed to do in crunch time and pull away late. They're going to have a whole week of practice behind them now that quarantine is over, now that they got a game under the belt, and they're going to be competing, I think, a lot better than they did against Danville just because they hadn't played in so long. But I give them a good shot of making a district final. And then Cardington Lincoln, they're the top seed in the whole district, and that's broken up into 2 separate districts. We've seen them a couple times this year, and they're a really good squad. East Knox took them to double overtime in one of the games, and the other one was close. So, I mean, how about East Knox Cardington Part 3 triple overtime game this district championship?
I got the Bulldogs riding that green wave all the way into the district finals. Are they going to be finding some pirates on the sea there, Storm? Do you believe the Dogs have what it takes to get it done?
A little bit of a history lesson. East Knox, their historic football tournament run, that was one of the, first times I've ever had some playoff experience. So it's hard for me to go against East Knox. They got my heart with them almost more than Crestview has. So I'm always going to bet on my Bulldogs over at East Knox. I think they're going to get it done just with the amount of hustle they play with and the amount of heart they play with. And they have an entire Bulldog nation behind them. Their numbers may be small, but they are strong. I mean, I don't see, like I've been saying before, anyone getting past East Knox.
All right, so there you have it. No bias here on the OH Report for our Purple People Eaters down there in Howard whatsoever. Just go ahead and sign them up for Dayton. But along with the Bulldogs, final question for you guys before we wrap this chaotic party up. Who do you feel like, of all the teams we're going to be covering this week, has the best chance to make a run to state? And mind you, the girls are a whole round ahead of us. It's a little bit better position. Just got to win 2 games to get there. We'll start with you down there in the L cap. Who is going to hand some teams some L, Storm, and move on to Dayton?
Well, I got 2 predictions here for the girls' side. I got Buckeye Central. That one is a no-brainer at all. Buckeye Central that's probably one of the most elite girls programs I've ever seen with my own 2 peepers right here. But I got a little bit of a hot take. I got Crestview making it all the way to state. They are red hot right now. Mark the date. I got Crestview going all the way.
Top that,
Okay.
G-Man.
Curious decision, Storm, but I like it. I'm going to agree with you on the girls' side. Buckeye Central, I think, has the best shot to get there. I've seen them play a few times, and they really get it done defensively, even if they struggle offensively. Claudia Piper, the leading scorer, also always has Emily Cecil to fall back on, so I don't really think there's another team in this area that has the best shot other than Buckeye Central. And for the boys, it's really a toss-up between Colonel Crawford or Shelby. I'm really just deciding which one I think would have a better chance. And I'm going to go with Colonel Crawford because of their defensive play and just head coaching experience. Shelby, if TJ Pugh has a rough night, they kind of struggle offensively. So that's why I'm going to go with Colonel Crawford and their coaching experience and defense.
Hey, lucky for the Whippets, TJ Pugh has very few off nights. That's why they've only dropped a couple of games so far this season. Travis, do you agree? Is it the Shelby Whippets or Colonel Crawford, or who do you like on the boys' side first?
Just looking at both teams' paths on the boys' side, Colonel Crawford probably go through Otto and Glandorf again, and then a regional final. But Shelby, that regional semifinal, or I don't know if it's the regional semi or the regional final, they'd have to face Lima Shawnee, who is a power from last year and probably would have rolled Upper Sandusky last year with the squad that they had. So just in ranking of what they have, schedule of strength, I still think both teams can make it. But I think Colonel Crawford just has a little bit better shot of, I would say, a little bit easier path to get to Columbus or Dayton or wherever they're going to have the boys' side of things for the state tournament. But I can still see Crawford and Shelby both making it. And then on the other side of things, do you know at Buckeye Central what they call this time of season? They call this parade and pep rally season because Buckeye Central is so used to winning so many district and regional championships, and they're going to easily be having at least one more parade. But I'm going to say 2 because they're going to go all the way and win a state championship. Book it. I tell you right now, they're going to win in Dayton next Saturday for a state title.
Wow, so they're going to be partying on the streets of New Washington, and then 1 week later, they're going to be riding that parade right up through Olivesburg over there by Cougar Country. What an unbelievable breakdown, you guys. This is some exciting times. I cannot wait for the tournament action to get underway this week on the OH Report, and you don't have to wait long. That's right, Tuesday night, 4 live streams coming your way, folks, and then it just continues on and on and on. So make sure that you keep it locked and loaded right here on the OH Report for all of the goodies coming your way this week, and you can see all of us right here on the video calls as well. So appreciate everybody tuning in for this latest edition of Tournament Talk. My name is Brian Skowronski for Travis Berardi, the infamous Garret Parlett, or whatever he's always phrased to by Storm. And that is Storm Bluntschly down at the end wearing the Luigi cap. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next edition of Tournament Talk. Deuce!